Welcome everyone. So today let's begin with the new kingdom, that is the kingdom Protista. Now the kingdom Protista, it consists of individuals which are unicellular and colonial and are eukaryotes. Now we know what are eukaryotes, that means those which bear a proper well membrane bound nucleus. Okay, now in the earlier kingdom we have found that unicellular prokaryotic organisms, but here we are finding unicellular eukaryotic organisms. Now the Protista, the organisms, they are basically aquatic organisms. Okay, they are found in sea, lakes, moist soil, etc. Their structures may be unicellular, colonial or filamentous type. The body may be covered, may be naked, or it may be covered by a wall, cuticle, pellicle or shell, etc. The genetic material which occurs within the nucleus, that is the DNA protein, okay, and which later forms the chromosomes. Cytoplasm, it shows the cyclosis or streaming movement. Ribosomes present are 70 and 80 as ribosomes. Okay, then they form the phytoplanktons. Okay, and when they are forming the phytoplanktons, that means almost about 80% of the total photosynthesis of the biosphere is controlled by these type of plants. That means these type of organisms, that is the Protistas. Now their body possesses a cilium or flagellum which has a covering sheet, okay, which is derived from the plasma membrane, and an exonym having 9 peripheral doublet fibrils and 2 central straight fibrils are also there. They show locomotion, but some are sedentary, for example the Vorticella. Now there are 5 actually means of locomotion. It may be either pseudopodial. Okay, if it is pseudopodial, that means it will move with the help of pseudopodium. The pseudopodium movement, now we know actually pseudopodium, it is very slow and it is a creeping type of movement over a solid substratum. If the structure is somewhat broad blunt, then it is known as lobopodium. Okay, lobopodium, sorry. If it is like fine protoplasmic threads, then we call it as phylopodium. If it is forming a network-like structure, then we call it as reticulopodium. And if it is forming a protoplasmic thread with an axial filament, then we call it as exopodium. So these are the different types of pseudopodial movement which is shown by the Protista. Again, besides pseudopodia, the movement may be with the help of flagella also, or by cilia, by pellicular contractile or ringling locomotion they may show, mucilage propulsion. So these are the different types of locomotions they are exhibiting. Then in case of nutrition, they show different types of nutrition. That means they may be either autotrophic or heterotropic. Okay, then respiration also, it may be either aerobic or anaerobic. Now if they are showing autotrophic type of nutrition, that means they will have some photosynthetic pigments which will help in forming photosynthesis. Then heterotropic type of nutrition, that means they will be either ingestive, saprophytic, pinocytosis may be there, phagocytosis may be there, okay, parasitic mode of nutrition, symbiotic nourishment, and also mixotropic nourishment. Now during mixotropic nourishment, actually what happened, that particular organism which is showing this type of nutrition, it will have a dual function. It can perform photosynthesis also, and in the light and in darkness it performs a saprophytic mode of nutrition. For example, Euglena, it shows mixotropic type of nutrition. Okay, so these are the main nutrition types. Now next we come to the reproduction part. Asexually, these organisms reproduce by binary fission, multiple fission, plasmotopy, budding, sporulation and cyst formation. But sexually, here actually for sexual reproduction, that means they form gametes which will fuse to form the diploid zygote, and here it occurs by 2 processes, that is fertilization either by syngamy and conjugation. Syngamy means the complete fusion of the 2 individuals, but conjugation means 2 individuals will temporarily come close together for fusion. Okay, so these are the main things of the Protista kingdom. And next we come to the life cycle. Now the actually these organisms, they show two basic type of life cycles. One is the zygotic meiosis and one is the gametic meiosis. Now in the life cycle with zygotic meiosis, actually zygote here diploid stage is formed, but others all are haploid. That means in zygotic meiosis only the zygote is a diploid, otherwise it is a haploid stage. That's why it is known as haplontic life cycle also. The zygote will immediately undergo meiosis to form haploid cells, okay? For example, serratum. But in gametic meiosis, except for the gametes, all are diploid. That means the adult is diploid, it will produce diploid zygote, undergo meiosis to form haploid gametes, which will again fuse to form the diploid. That's why it is diplontic life cycle. So always remember, whenever you get the word zygotic meiosis, that means the whole life cycle is haploid except for zygote, and when gametic meiosis, that means the whole life cycle is diploid except for the gametes. Okay, so these are the main things. Now next we come to the different types of protista. Basically we find three different types of protista. One is photosynthetic protist, consumer decomposer protist, and protozoan protist. Now the photosynthetic protist, that means these will possess the photosynthetic, they will have, that means the photosynthetic ability. Okay, now for example the dinoflagellates. The dinoflagellates, they are actually golden brown in color, okay, and they are the main organisms which form red tides. That means they are blooming, they will form blooms, okay, in the water bodies, and when they are blooming, they form dinoflagellates, they will spread rapidly over several kilometers, and then they form a yellowish brown to red in color area. So that particular thing is known as red tide. Now normally question comes of red tide, what is red tide and how it is formed? It is formed with the help of dinoflagellates, and it is just the abundant presence of abundant dinoflagellates in the water body creates a yellowish brown or reddish color surface, that is known as red tide. And the important forms are goniologs, then serratum. These are the main things. Then next, their nutrition is either phototropic or their photosynthetics, or sometimes it may be parasitic or saprophytic also, okay. Then their body structure, actually that is an important part. These organisms possess a body structure which consists of a covering which may be either armored or unarmored. If it is unarmored, then it is smooth or pellicle like, and if it is armored, then it consists of two coverings, that is also known as theca. The two halves are called epitheca and hypotheca, okay, and they are these two groups. There are also two groups also which are present, and those are known as either girdle, annulus or sulcus. Their flagella are present, heterocont flagella, that means two different types of flagella are there. Their nucleus are present, okay. Then another important thing is that they possess eye spots, that means light sensitive organelles are present which are called eye spots, that are present in this particular group, okay. For example in Glenodium, okay, or Glenodium, whatever you say, that Glenodium, it possesses the eye spots. Now some of them also possess some bioluminescence, that means the emission of light by living organisms. Then some produces toxic substances, basically the blooms which produces toxic substances, and these toxic substances creates various diseases including human beings, okay. One of the human being disease is the fatal paralysis. It is known as paralytic shellfish poisoning. Due to the eating of this poisoned shellfish, the fatal paralysis occur, okay. So human beings, including other animals also, different type of harms are created due to this dinoflagellates. Now next is the chrysophytes or diatoms. The diatoms are also important. They are known as the golden algae. Other one is the golden brown algae. This is golden algae, okay. They are also present in semi aquatic or aquatic habitats. They also body, there is two shelves are there, two shelves are present, and each shelf is covered by two halves. It is known as the frustules, okay. Then they possess photosynthetic pigments. Fucoxanthin is present, for which they may show a brownish colored tinge. Their reserve food is leucocin. They show a proper life cycle. Then in case of reproduction, actually the diatoms show a peculiar type, okay. Now the diatom structure, actually it consists of two shells. One is epitheca and other is the hypotheca. Now when it is dividing during sexual reproduction, each of the two halves, they undergo and take part in the reproductive process. The upper part portion forms the one organism and the lower part forms another organism. Now as compared to the upper portion, actually the lower portion is a bit smaller. When they are dividing, the upper portion, the size remains similar, but as the hypotheca, it is a bit smaller in size, so the organism form is comparatively smaller. That means gradually what happened, this size decreases as compared to the part formed from epitheca. So the how much the organisms are formed, all will be having reduced size as compared to the parent cell. So ultimately the offsprings get reduced in size, and this particular thing can be corrected with the help of oxospore formation. Okay, oxospore formation is an important part which helps in the overcoming this type of problem. Then we next come to the euglenoids. Euglenoids are also similar to that of the dinoflagellates, and means somewhat they are similar. The next group what we come is the consumer decomposer protists, that is the slime molds. The slime molds are actually, they have naked plasmodium or pseudopodium. Normally they occur in moist terrestrial places. They have a gelatinous consistency. Chlorophyll are completely absent, and they strictly show heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, and their life cycle, they show both the zygotic and gametic meiosis. Now they are actually important in studying different type of plasmodial and mixed amoeba are there, so that we can study their structures properly. Okay, how multicellularity originated, all these things can be studied easily from the slime molds. Now the next step, that is the protozoan protist. The protozoan protist means these are all aquatic organisms. They may be unicellular or colonial type. Their shapes are normally globular, ovule or spindle shaped, unicell naked structure. They move with the help of flagella, cilia or pseudopodia, and normally they have a uninucleate structure. Okay, they show phagotropic type of nutrition. That means they will consume solid foods. Okay, now this is also again divided into different types. So all these things point wise, they are very clearly given in the book. Go through the examples very properly, and these are actually protozoan protist. The like amoeba, it is also a protozoan protist, its structure. When we study the main characters of a particular group, then the examples will also resemble, isn't it? The characters will be almost same, only few different points are there which are to be memorized properly. So better you do one thing, first of all you study the points of the particular group, then you separate or differentiate the different points as concerned to the different groups, and then examples also you like that separated, and then it will be easier for you to memorize everything, or else it will become a problem for everyone to memorize. So it will be easy if you study them serially and sequentially. Then here another important thing is plasmodium, that is the malaria causing part, Plasmodium vivax. Here two life cycles are included, one life cycle in men and other life cycle in the mosquito. Okay, these all are very properly given in the book. You go through them in details, through everything. Okay, and study them very well. These are all important parts, and the characters, basically the characters with the examples, go through them very properly.